Last August, the Prime Minister in his, I was going to say his honeymoon, if he did have one, it was very short, but I think possibly in August he was still in it. He said that growth, and by which I mean wealth creation, his words, was, quote, the #1 priority of this government. Is that not quite a useful test against which we ought to be measuring everything the government does, and indeed by which we ought to be judging you and the opposition as it puts its policy proposals together over the coming months and years as to whether the proposals will or will not promote growth?
Yeah, that is an excellent point, and applaud the work done by the Growth Commission. It's often a reference source for me. I was looking only this morning at the commentary you've provided on the government's industrial strategy, and I think pretty spot on. Look, one doesn't seek to find fault for its own sake. A lot of that strategy is continuity of strategies that we had in government, but there are some really big missed opportunities, particularly as it relates to growth. One is the very timorous action that they're taking on energy that is clustered around those very biggest businesses that tend to hang around government. Another is the long-awaited opportunity for this government to live to what it said about growth and to drop, shelve or mitigate the Employment Rights Bill. It's impossible to reconcile that bill, and no one, to my knowledge, has even tried in this government with the idea of growth. If you want growth, you need the private sector to expand, you need people off welfare into work. You do not pass 300 pages, 120,000 words of chilling red tape. Not a single business supports it. Even the normally timorous business groups that hang around Whitehall, don't normally like to criticise government, have been, for them, fairly critical of it. So it would be a really good acid test. If the government was serious about growth, that would be one of the very first things, assuming that they won't reverse some of the fiscal changes that are anti-growth, one of the very first things that they could do. They could do it tomorrow. It's still going through the Lords. They could kick it for touch. They could go back and consult. Or even better, they could revert to what previous socialist governments have done and say we're not going to revisit this careful balance between rights and responsibilities.